Hey, it's Pete C for Sample Library Review, and today I'm checking out 80 by Sonokinetic. After building up a very impressive range of orchestral phrase-based libraries, Sonokinetic have quite literally taken a step back into the past with 80. This retro phrase-based library features all of the classic orchestral and synth sounds of 80s cinema. With strings, brass and winds, coupled with some imaginative synth phrases, 80 is not only a perfect foundation for retro compositions, it's an incredible inspiration tool too. 80 downloads at 13GB and is recorded in 24-bit 44.1K quality with over 30,000 samples. It features strings, brass and woods with a DX7 synth section. 80 requires the free Contact Player 6.7.1 and is NKS compatible, and 80 normally sells for €249.90. And here we have 80, and for anyone who is familiar with Sonokinetic libraries already, just very quickly, on the left hand you hold down your chord, you see those blue keys, hold down the G major, and then you just hold down any of the orange keys and you get a phrase. In the simplest terms, that's how the instrument works, but there is so much more to it than that. Now, to get used to the instrument, I did create a very quick demo. If you go on the Sonokinetic website, they have these amazing orchestral demos, and they show the instrument when it's being used in combination with other instruments, so they're called the dress demos, and then they have the naked demos where it's just 80 on its own, so you can see exactly how it contributes. Now, to do something a bit different, I decided just to make a really quick short synthwave type demo. So I've used some drums from a different developer and some sort of little sounds here and there, but everything else you can see in the demo is all color coded and it's all just from 80. The demo is just something a little bit different, just to show a different dimension, I suppose, of 80. And it's got these cool orchestral elements along with the synths. And I love the synth. It is using a DX7, which is a quintessential 80s synth. Anyway, let's jump into the instrument, because there's a lot more than just holding down a couple of blue keys and a couple of orange keys. So first things first is the color coding. Now you can see that all of these different phrases are actually color coded by instrument. So if I hold down, let's just go for an E minor, and I play the first C, the blue is for woodwind. And then if I play D, the purple is for synth. D sharp is some strings. And then the F is brass. Of course, you don't just have to use this in 80s scoring. These orchestral phrases are absolutely brilliant. I have to admit, I use a lot of Sonokinetic orchestral phrase based libraries, and I'll go into the reasons why a little bit later. The point is, they're just so usable, and it's a perfect way to get a proper recorded orchestra into your compositions. So again, if I just play, let's play G sharp. So that isn't just MIDI triggering. Obviously, I am with the way the instrument's laid out, but that is actually triggering a full orchestral performance. And that's the crucial part of these instruments. Now, if we look at the top, we've got this really, really cool sort of color-coded section. If I click on the orange, it actually randomizes all the phrases. So you can just click and click and click away and just get loads of different options, which is really, really useful. And of course, it does all work on the mod wheel as well. So if I just hold down E minor and the first phrase, very, very simple. So the mod wheel obviously controls the modulation, so the dynamics as it were. And then the rest of the color coding, if you click on the blue, which is at the top, you get just woodwind phrases. Then if you click on the green, you get just string phrases. And of course, you can play two at the same time. And that time I was changing the chord in my left hand, and these are obviously tempo synced. So I'm not playing to a click. I'm at 120 BPM in my DAW, but it's going to be a little bit uneven if I'm changing chords. So the phrases actually do overlap really, really well and change with no problems. However, it's just worthy of note, it's my playing and not the instrument. Anyway, that's the strings, and then you can play brass with the yellow. So I was playing three phrases there, really good way of just building really, really quick arrangements. And then the sort of pinky purple is the synth. And of course, there are tons of different phrases for each instrument. Now, if I was to go back to a string one, the biggest, I'd say, advancement, they call it the retrofier. I say advancement. This is very, very similar to indie. If you've used indie before, it's virtually the same controls and the same layout. But we've got this thing down the bottom here, this color-coded slider. Now, if I bring that all the way down and play a phrase. So that's just strings. Now, if I bring that up, that's still just strings. But what it should do, if the phrase is applicable, it should add synth elements. So at this point, I'm going to just look for a phrase with some added synth elements. So whoops-a-daisy. So you can hear the difference. Just breaths, and then synths. And you can obviously learn the CC if you want to. Put it on a slider, which is what I do. And it's really cool just like looking for these different phrases. Let's try those. So you've got like a synth bass there, which you can bring down. And of course, you can automate that in if you want to. So that's just a really, really cool feature. Now, let's talk about phrases. So we've got this F sharp on the go. I'm going to bring down the brass, actually. Not the brass, the synth. If you click on the picture of the phrase, you get this really cool sort of retro screen. And you can pick the instrument you want to use, but we're going to stick with strings for a moment. And then you can pick the category. So if we stay on action, you can hear a preview. So you get the idea. Now, if I go to villain, say we like that one, and I'll play that as a C. Beautiful. But let's say you just want to change it to another one. You just double click and change it. And you've got these really cool pictures which kind of show you roughly what it's going to sound like. Then, of course, all the different categories. So that's clash, creeping, some heroic phrases. That's like a bit of a snake. Lovely. Romance. Rumble. Bit of tension. And these are all a C major preview. So obviously if you play minor chord. They adapt. Tranquil. And then back to villain. Excellent. And then another control, if you're really happy with that phrase and you want to keep it, but you still want to randomize through, you can just lock the phrase in place. So we'll talk about controls a bit more detail, but yeah, that's how you do that. Now, let's have a quick listen to some brass phrases. I'm going to load these in. In fact, I'm just going to go left and right, and you can just go through the phrases that way. Back to that one. And I believe this is a randomize button, so it's just taking us to woodwinds. Let's go back to brass. Let's go tension. And let's do one more, upbeat. And you can see these are slightly different categories to the strings. There we go. And then let's hear a few woods. So that's a couple from the dark. Let's go playful, so a bit more movement. I actually did not load that one in then. There we go. And it's phrases like these. So obviously everything's got utility, but to orchestrate this across an ensemble and get it to sound lifelike could take ages. And here it is, just the touch of 4 keys. Let's go quiet. And witty. So some melodic interest there. And then the synth. Let's go antagonist to start with. That's yeah, very, very cool. And the synths were recorded in the same room as the orchestra. I keep pressing the previews only because I'm so used to just clicking preview. It's such a cool cool feature, and the majority of the Sonokinetic instruments have that now. So what I can do is just click. And just load up loads of synth patches, but it's quite nice to see the content you actually get as well. So you can see there are stacks of different phrases for every single instrument. Now, the next thing everyone says, I'll say everyone, I see quite a few discussions about phrase-based libraries. And if I change the view, you can drop the score or the phrase into your DAW. And depending on the chord you hold down, it will change how the phrase is played. So you can drop it in exactly in the correct sort of chord or harmony or whatever you want to do. So it keeps changing, you drag and drop it in. Now, if you want to, once it's in the MIDI, you can then adjust, say, the melody or the notes, and you can turn it into a more unique phrase. So one of the big things that comes up with all of these kinds of libraries is, well, you're going to sound the same. But if you've got MIDI drop, you're not going to sound the same. And this is why I say it's a really, really cool inspiration builder. You can just drop it in, get some harmonic movement to your piece where you need it, make some adjustments, and suddenly you've created something different. And that is really, really important. We also have these green keys. If I hold down, I'm going to use my sustain pedal, I hold down a D minor chord and the first phrase. So it's very broody. You can use the green keys to almost go with one finger playing. And in terms of sort of workflow, that's really, really useful. So you can just draw in your chord and the phrase you're playing. So let's play some random chords. Excuse my sustain pedal from bouncing. It's very bouncy today. But yeah, so you can just use the green keys to trigger, like key switches, or as key switches, these separate chords. So it's a really, really useful feature. And again, for anyone who uses other Sonokinetic libraries, that is where the harmonic shift used to be. So you could do like chord extensions, etc. Now, I was experimenting. Oops. See if you can stop that. It's my sustain pedal again. I'm going to stay away from that. But I was experimenting if you could just hold down loads of different ones, but you can only play one at the same time, so you can't mix sort of really strange chord clusters. But you get the idea. Really, really useful control. It does mean you can just work really, really quickly. Now, there's still plenty of other things going on. If I click on the little eye, it will tell you exactly what everything does. So we've covered at the top what the different tabs do. We've covered the it's a retro fire. Yep. You can click on the mics and open the mic mixer. So you've got close. Let's just hear a close mic. And you've got Deca. Could bring that up a bit. I'll go close again. And far. Wide. Whoops. And then obviously you can combine two mics. So if I go close and Deca, sounds absolutely pristine. If I go close and wide, and you can change the balance of the two. So if I do it with far, we're suddenly in a much bigger room. So that's the mic mixes. And then you can just go through using the little eye, or just work out and have a bit of fun what everything does. So you got the offset, which yeah, you can just sort of change, I believe, where the phrase starts, which is nice and useful. So that's good. So if I'm all the way this way, if I go over there, it started at a different point. If I do it there. Yeah, so it slightly changes there. Then you got the crossfade. So if you're not too happy with how the phrases overlap, you can adjust the crossfade. You got panning, so you can pan either in your DAW or you can pan accordingly to the sort of orchestral section you're using. And then volume, obviously speaks for itself. But you got the release. So if I turn the release up a lot and just play a phrase and let go, you got that kind of sort of release. If you don't want that at all, well, they seem to be connected. There you go. So you can click the little arrow and change that. I've got no release now, but I would have some. And then you've got these buttons at the top. Now, if you want to purge, so let's say you just want one phrase, you want to save on your RAM, you can see the memory's not too big, but if you want to, you can just purge and reduce what's going on, which is nice and easy. I'll just go into the phrase picker again. And the next one is number 2, the mod wheel velocity. So you can turn that on or off. Then you've got the tempo settings. So if I just go away from that. So it's the speed the phrases play at. And I believe ITM is just the speed of your DAW, not the recorded speed. And then the plus minus is, it is still called harmonic shift. So I'm going to double check that I've done that correctly. But like I say, I use these libraries a lot. And normally where it shows you the chord, if you use a harmonic shift function, you get the chord extension name there. But if harmonic shift isn't on, it has no impact. So I will double check that there's no extensions. But that's part of the fun of these libraries. You just play around with them. And then you've got the score mode where you can drag and drop your MIDI. And obviously that's the key it's assigned to, and you can lock it. And that is pretty much everything to do with 80. Now, I've got to admit that I keep mentioning that I use a lot of their libraries because I do, and I was wondering what are they going to do next, because they've got different genres of music, and sort of some are slow, some are fast, some are epic, some are more quiet, and where could they have gone? And I love the fact they've gone down this synth route. That was the mod wheel there. And the quality of orchestral recording is absolutely fantastic as well. And with a hands-on experience, it's really, really easy to program as well. So once you get used to sort of like drawing it in your DAW with block chords and the key switches, it's really, really straightforward to use and just works perfectly. So I really recommend checking out the demos so you can see exactly what it's capable of. But Sonokinetic really have smashed it. It's just a really, really cool instrument, and it's something a bit different, and you're not limited just to 1980s scoring. These orchestral phrases and synth phrases you can throw into loads of different types of music. So really, really versatile, but at its heart, it really does capture the classic 80s score feel. So my final thoughts about 80 by Sonokinetic. It does exactly what it sets out to. It's just really, really cool. It's very, very retro, but also has this modern edge if you want to use it in different types of music. So it's really, really versatile. Really, really easy to use. Sounds fantastic. The phrases, there's no overlap between this and any other libraries. There's only one phrase-based library I don't own, which I will be picking up at some point. And yeah, that's the beauty of these Sonokinetic libraries. If you buy more than one, you don't seem to get the same phrase twice, which is really, really cool. It sounds impeccable. The orchestral recordings are fantastic, and to build really, really quick arrangements, it's absolutely perfect. For inspiration, it is a gold mine. I found myself staring at a blank score so many times, and then I put one of these on and suddenly I'm away working. So if you've got sort of writer's block or just struggling to get into the session, these really, really work. But it's not only for that. When you start putting them within your arrangements, they add colour, they add animation, they add sort of melody that you may not have thought of, and having a tool like that at our disposal is really, really great. Now, having the MIDI drop means not everyone is going to sound the same, or not everything is going to be the same. They're not going to be recognisable phrases if you change them. So, you know, there's a little bit of programming involved there if you want to sort of alter what you can hear or make it fit your project more. But the fact you can do that is absolutely brilliant. You're not bound by what the instrument gives you. You can tweak, you can change, and you know that's an invaluable tool. It's like a musical gold mine. So who is this library for? If you compose trailers, video game music, anything like that, any production music, really, really useful. And it's not just because, you know, they can help you get over writer's block, etc. It's the fact the quality and the content is so high. If you work to tight deadlines as well, which I'm sure a lot of us have, again, these are just vital tools. That's why I do constantly promote these phrase-based libraries and the Sonokinetic brand, because they've got me out of so many situations where I've needed something quick, and to meet deadlines, they've again just been brilliant. So really, it's a versatile instrument. It is very rooted in the 80s, but again, you can use it in different types of scoring, and the quality is absolutely brilliant. And it's not just the quality, it's the sheer amount of content. There is so many phrases, so many samples, so much you can do with this instrument. It really is great to have it in your composing toolkit. All that leaves me to say is thank you so much for checking out this review of 80 by Sonokinetic. If you like what you heard, feel free to leave a like on the video and a comment, and let us know what you like about the instrument and how you would use it. If you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos, and then head over to samplibreview.com to find out everything that is going on in the world of virtual instruments. Until next time, have a great day, and keep on making that music.